in the beginning, it's most important in the beginning to set your standards early, to set your boundaries early, to set what you're going to go for and not go for early. You can't let shit slide in the beginning. You have to pay attention to these things, because if you let it slide in the beginning, oh, they'll be skating around a whole ice rink around your ass before you know it. And then you'll just start letting more shit slide. And then you realize, like, wait, I ain't getting nothing that I want. Like, this is not what I want. Like, you got to be early with it. That's something that I've learned. You got to take your L early. Like, don't wait thinking it's going to get better, thinking you can make excuses, thinking you can give the benefit of the doubt.
Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Hey girlfriends, and to everybody else, what up YouTube? Welcome back to another Hey Girlfriend visual podcast. So today's topic is going to be about what men you should look out for when dating. And I feel like this is important because even after you learn to not date the toxic men, and you learn, you want better and all of that, and you heal from all of that, or even if you're just out there and you don't really know, this is a good podcast, because I feel like men can try to play you in very subtle ways that you may not realize that they're doing it. So we're going to get into all the little ways that you can look out for and pay attention to. So let's just jump right in. This is going to be a good one because I got some good shit. Shit you may not even thought of. So I'm going to give you all the men you should look out for and why and how they will try to come at you. So the first one up on my list, watch out for the sweet talkers. And sweet talks is not quote unquote a definite red flag, but it's something that you want to watch out for sure. Because if a guy is trying to sweet talk you, that means he may be trying to be conniving. He's trying to get something out of you. He's not serious. He's not seriously trying to get to know you. He's just trying to woo you. And that could be either to get whatever he wants out of you. It could be that he just wants a hookup. It could be a lot of different things. Whatever the reason is, pay attention to the sweet talk. I think sometimes what happens is that we let the butterflies get to us because we maybe never had a guy talk to us like that, especially if he's attractive and he's talking all nice, saying all the right shit, but not doing all the right shit. That's why you have to really watch out for the sweet talk. And when you feel those butterflies, don't let them carry you away. Because the thing about it is, I recall in my past, the guys that I talked to that sweet talked me, especially my last ex, it didn't help that he was attractive. So he was very, very good at sweet talking and knew to say all the right things. And little naive me didn't know any better. I was just like, okay, this is an attractive guy that likes me. It doesn't matter what else he got going on. He likes me and he's sweet talking me. Let's go. But pay attention to the sweet talk. Don't let it get carried away, and try to actually filter through it and see if he is interested in actually getting to know you instead of just wooing you off your feet, sweeping you off your feet. Next thing is up. I got a lot. I'm trying to see what order I want to go in because I got some good shit. But here's a good one. Men that claim to be too busy. Now, I know you may be thinking, oh, I'm trying to be understanding and this and that. That's fine if he's busy, even if he's legitimately busy. However, him being busy, how does that flow with your standards? How does that flow with what you want out of a relationship and a man? So if he's claiming he's too busy, more than likely what he may be trying to do is manage your expectations for you. And what I mean by that is that he's making sure that you don't expect much out of him. Expect the bare minimum because he's busy. He's saying, I'm going to keep you around. Maybe you're as a placeholder. Maybe he kind of likes you. He doesn't know. Maybe he's just bored and wants to talk. If whatever, I don't know the reasons why men do the shit that they do. Especially this one, why they say they're busy and don't want to date you. Just break it all the way off. Just say, hey, I'm not interested, and keep it moving. But some guys don't do that. They try to throw up the I'm busy excuse. And so, like I said, it's them trying to manage your expectations for you. And so what that means, they're going to go give you the bare minimum. They're not going to give you too much. And all you're going to say in the back of your mind is, hey, he's too busy, so I get it. And then you don't have room to get upset at him because he's thinking, I told you I was busy. Why are you getting upset? And it's another way to kind of like gaslight you. So having your head the type of man that you really, really want, and if it's one that has time for you and does more than the bare minimum, then you know that the busy thing is not going to fly with you. It doesn't matter if he's legitimately busy and got a lot going on. Okay, he ain't ready for you. That's how you work that. Another one. Men that withhold information or don't answer you directly. What I mean by this is when you ask them simple questions and they kind of toy around with it. Especially if you're asking questions and you're like trying to get to know them and they're just like being all incognito with it and not really answering, or just kind of, giving you blanket answers and not really being clear and transparent on anything. That is a major, major thing to look out for. Now, these things, I meant to say the things that I'm naming could or could not be red flags. Either way, I'm going to say it's what you're watching out for, because these could legitimately be their personality. Like, this could be actually who they are. Like, he could be the type that doesn't like answering the questions directly, but do you want to be in a relationship with someone like that that can't be transparent? He legit could have that, but maybe he has an avoided attachment or issues with emotional connection. Do you want someone like that? Do you want to be in relationship with someone like that? That's something you should consider. That's why I say watch out for it. Don't just, think, oh, it'll be okay and look over it because you may like other things about him. These are key things that are going to make sure that you have the relationship that you really want. Now, if maybe you don't like a man being direct, okay, that's on you. But this is what you should watch out for, because I recall this one guy that I was talking to. And I knew he really didn't. I'm going to compare the guy I was talking to, and then I'm going to compare it to when I first met my husband. And so y'all can see what I'm talking about and how the little things matter when it comes to him withholding information, especially if you're trying to get to know them because you're wanting to maybe actually really date them and have a relationship with them. That's the whole point of it. So there's one guy I was talking to. I remember I was asking him what his last name was. And, I was just getting to know him. I'm not going to look him up or anything like that, although I probably should have. No, I asked him what his middle name was. I knew his last name. I asked him what his middle name was. Because I was telling him mine. I'm just having fun on the phone. I want to know, hey, what's your middle name? And we have been talking for like a while. It wasn't like it was the first time we talked on the phone. What's your middle name? It wasn't nothing like that. We've been talking for a bit. And I think we had even gone on a date or anything. We was talking for a bit. So I'm just asking a simple question. And he did not want to tell me the fucking answer. He was like kind of playing around with it. No. I'm like, what is with all of that? And I knew it was a red flag that, he doesn't really see in the future with me because he doesn't care to tell me details about himself. But I liked him and he was just tall. That's really what it was too. If I'm being honest, he was just tall. When I look back on him, he wasn't even really my type. But anyway, and so a little shit like that was sticking out to me. But I was just trying to oh, I like him. Let me just keep trying. Lesson learned. So when I met CJ, I remember in the beginning, which is my now husband, if that's his name. When I met him, it was said CJ. And I was like, what does that stand for? And this was kind of the second time we talked. It was very early in the beginning. And I said, hey, what does J stand for? And he told me. I mean, I'm not going to put all his name and business out on here, but he told me straight up, I was like, okay. And I was like, wow. That little small difference there. Do you see that? It's so small. That's why I said this is so important. This shit can be so small sometimes that you just kind of look over it and think nothing of it. But it really matters. And so I figured with him, he didn't mind being transparent just with even the little things. That means he was actually wanting me to get to know him. Sometimes men don't even want you to really know them. Is what I'm finding out. Because they don't want to have that connection. They don't want a real connection. They just want whatever they want and get up and leave. That's it. And that leads me into another good point. Men that talk about their exes a lot in the beginning, they're trying to build an emotional attachment, is what I've figured out. And it's so odd how they all do the same thing. And sometimes it seems like, oh, they're letting you in, and you think they are, but they're letting you in with the shit they want you to know, which they don't mind telling you about that ex that hurt them. And it's like they know that they're what they're thinking, that, okay, I can play with her emotions, and she gonna try to be better than that girl in the past, or something like that. I don't know what it is exactly, but I'm thinking about all the guys that I talked to in the past, not my actual toxic exes that I've talked to where I had a toxic relationship with. I mean, after that, and when I started actually dating, I'm realizing that all of them brought up information that I didn't request about their exes and told me some real crazy stories. Some of them didn't even sound true. And I'm just like, And the whole time they're probably thinking like, oh, I got her. But in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, you ain't healed. Something wrong with you. And I'm like, if you sit here talking about this and you still have an issue, one of them still hated his ex and wished bad on her. Another one was just, I don't know, it was just strange behavior. And a lot of them do that. And I really think if it was the old me, I think I would have been drawn in emotionally. But the new me was dating, and they probably didn't realize it. So I would take it all in and hear it and talk to them and listen to them. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, I don't know how much further this is going to go because you were not healed yet. And even though I liked them, I knew that part was going to be an issue. That was like a check mark for me. I'm like, okay, you talking about them exes too much. And I feel like, and I actually honestly feel like that when they do this, it's not because they're not healed from it. I feel like they actually really are. Usually they actually really are healed from it. It's just that they're trying to use that as a way to be transparent without being transparent, if you get what I'm saying. They're picking and choosing what they're going to be transparent about, so they're not actually being for real about who they are. They're talking about some shit in their past. They feel like, okay, this is an easy way in. They all do it. And when I talked about this before on my TikTok, all the girls was like, oh my gosh, he did that to me too. I had one do that to me too. I'm like, that's not a coincidence. It happens a lot. Look out for that. Do not get attached, emotionally drawn in, none of that. Look at that actually as a red flag. I'm going to say that's a straight up red flag. Watch out for that shit. Don't fall for it. And don't you even get on there, and don't you even start talking about, oh, my ex did me wrong too. That's where I fell into the trap of doing. But I didn't even feel like we were connecting. He probably thought that I thought that we were connecting, but I was just like having a conversation. I didn't care. But yeah, I fell into talking about mine as well. So I'm saying, do not, don't even play that game. Another one to watch out for. When he changes his attitude when you set a boundary. Like, say if y'all were going strong, doing great, and you decide to set a boundary saying, hey, I'm not ready, or hey, I'm not ready for you to come to my house, hey, I don't like when you touch me, hey, I'm not ready to have sex with you, or any type of boundary, or hey, I like it if you not call me so much while I'm at work, I'll call after. Any boundary that you set, see, if he reacts and responds in a way that makes him more distant to where he's like, oh, that means he may have been trying to actually manipulate you in some type of way. And his plans are getting ruined because you're calling him out and you're putting up boundaries. That means you're smart enough to know that, okay, we need to scale back some, or I'm not comfortable with this, or I'm not comfortable with that. So he's noticing that you have boundaries. And if he acts any different, treats you any different, that's something you should definitely watch out for. Anytime that you're setting a boundary for yourself, or anytime you want to do something for yourself and he has an issue and a problem with it, red flag. I want to say that's a red flag. Not only watch out for it, but it's definitely a red flag. Boundaries are important, and boundaries are actually to make the relationship better. Any man that actually wants to get to know you, that actually wants to get on your good side because he wants to be with you, that actually wants to, see something with you, he's going to respect the boundary and keep on going. Simple as that. I set a boundary with CJ in the beginning. I didn't want him to come to my house. I said, okay, we can meet somewhere else. Just like that. It was just like that. It wasn't, I don't know now, then I guess I'm going to have to do something. It was none of that. It was just simple, quick like that. He said, okay, you can meet me here. Bam. That's it. And this was like the third date. He got asked to come to meet me in my house. And I said, I'm not really comfortable with that yet. It was no problem. It was no problem. So, watch out for that shit. Next. If he changes the intensity of his interest. This is a big one. I don't know why in the hell guys do this shit. But don't fall for it. I don't know if it's manipulation or if they really did like you at first. Now they don't. If they have an avoided attachment. You see how many things could be the reason why? But the reason why doesn't really matter. It's just that you know that it ain't happening because you're not meeting my standards like you was at first. So no. You don't want anyone that's going to change the intensity of how much they like you. Like, I've dated guys that were actually all, like, excited, love talking to me, and as soon as they, like, we go on a date, or we talk a little longer, and it's just, like, it starts to just wane off. They're, like, becomes hardly non-existent. So, what I've figured out to do that can help you is when that happens, you change your intensity. Do not go in closer. Do not move in closer. Do not try to come up with ideas and suggestions like, okay, well, maybe you want to do this. Would it be better if I do this? Would it be better if we go on a date and do this? Don't come up with no excuses for him. Don't help him to court you. Don't help him to date you. What you do is you can either ask, like, say how long, it depends on how long you've been talking. Say you've been talking for quite some time and it's been a month, but you haven't really made it official, but you've been talking and all of a sudden it just stops. You can maybe ask, is what's going on? I've noticed a change. You can ask. That's fine. Depends on how long you've been talking. But if it's kind of like been just a week or two, and all of a sudden he grows distant, and it's really hot and cold, pay attention to that. I won't even really ask questions because that's going to put you in an anxious attachment, and you do not want that. You do not want to become anxiously attached to this person. You can match the intensity as well. He falls back, you fall back. And then date around. Keep dating. Now, if it keeps on to where it's not really anything, move it along. You can just come out and say, hey, I noticed a change in the intensity of which you were dating me. I noticed a change in how we were talking. I just rather move on. Like that. Because sometimes I have heard some guys say that with them, it's like they are afraid to call it off with the girl. They don't want to be the bad guy. So they are hoping that you would just decide to move on by yourself. So either way it goes, whatever the reason is, you have a right. This is your dating experience too. You have a right to decide for yourself if it's good enough or not. If what he's providing for you is good enough or not. No matter what his excuse is. So if he suddenly stops and he was all hot and heavy for you, acting like he really liked you, and he stops, you stop. Simple as that. That don't mean anything is wrong with you. It could mean something may be wrong with him. So, definitely look out for that. From my understanding and from my dating experience with the toxic guys that I dated, especially the last one, when his intensity changed, I just started trying to grow in closer to see what was wrong. And then he'll come back and then he'll leave. It was like intermittent reinforcement. And so what they're doing with that is manipulating you. They're trying to control you by manipulation. And they're basically, keeping you hanging on and waiting for the next time they're going to be intense with you again. And then they pull it back and they end and they pull it back. So it's a mind game. Don't fall for it. Let's see. Another one, a guy you should look out is the one that has never had a committed relationship. I don't want to say that's a red flag, but it's something that you should watch out for. Well, when I say never had a committed relationship, if he's only had like only hookups, if he only had flings, if he's only had like month or relationship, that means he may be non-committal. And if you're looking for a commitment, it may be hard to get that out of him. If he's never actually gone through the commitment, don't think that you're the one to change that. Don't play that game with any of these guys acting like you are the one to change it all around for him. Yes, girlfriend, you're a good woman, but no, girlfriend, do not set yourself up like that to commit with the shit he got going on with himself. He may not be in a committed relationship because he got some trauma and some shit that he ain't healed through. You can't compete with that. A woman, any woman, period, is not the reason why he hasn't had a commitment. That's what I used to believe, like, oh, he just haven't had the right woman. That's not his issue. It's not the women, it's him. It's him that's the issue. No matter which woman he get, he gonna have a problem. So if he has never committed, that's something you should look out for. Don't play them games with him. That's something you should, that definitely cause a red flag to go up. Especially if he says, oh, but I've had women, I've been with women that I talked to for a minute and then stopped talking to, stuff like that. Don't be trying to change him, okay? I'm going to get closer. Don't try to change him. I mean it. Next. Ooh, the ones that mirror you and seem to only answer questions after you, but never volunteer info about themselves. These are the ones that are either insecure with themselves or the ones that are trying to manipulate you. And so they're just mirroring whatever you want. Whatever you say, they're going to be whatever type of man that you want them to be. It can be a mixture of the two. Either way, it's like you're not really getting to know them as a person. And how you can tell that they're doing this is if they only ever answer questions that you ask, or if you say something about yourself and then they piggyback off of it and say something about themselves too. Now, it's fine if it's like y'all talking about general things and you like, oh, I love this show, whatchamacallit, whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah, me too. And then he starts having his own, debate about it, or he talks about it himself and has his own thoughts about it. But if he just leaves it at that, like, no, he's mirroring you. And that's not really getting to know someone. It could be either or. I've found that some guys are just really insecure with themselves, or either they have an anxious attachment and it's like you haven't even done anything to make them anxious. It's just that they're really, really wanting someone. And I don't want to be that one that they really, really want, so they're acting like that. Like, it was one guy, I'll give us an example. It was one guy I was talking to, this was a long time ago, and we were just only talking on the phone. My cousin hooked us up because she was like, yeah, cuz he said he liked you, he sent your pictures and stuff. I'm like, okay, I talked to him. I talked to him maybe like a few times out the week. Y'all, why about a third call? I said, okay, later. He said, love you too. And I was like, I didn't say that. I don't know you to love you. I said, I don't like how this is going. I said, I feel uncomfortable. And then he kept trying to make up an excuse about, well, no, I said it to everybody. I said, we're not even friends. We don't know each other. And I was just like, I said later. And it's like, so for him to think that I said love you, he didn't think that was a problem. He was just piggybacking off of me. You don't think that's a problem too? So that means that you just really wanting someone, and you're not really wanting me, the person, the essence of who I am. So that, I broke that off quickly. Why, like a month later, he having a baby with somebody, or had somebody no, it may not be a month later. I think it was more so like 9 months. It was 9 months or something later like that. He having a baby with someone, but he wasn't in a relationship from what I heard. He was having a baby. So I'm like, okay, this man was just hard up and just wanted someone. I'm so glad I dodged that bullet. I'm like, so you thought it was okay to say I love you? We just talked on the phone. It was the third time we talked on the phone. Red flag. But any guy that seems to just not really volunteer information or speak up about themselves, or talk about themselves, about what they like, it's because they're scared that they're going to say the wrong thing to you and you're not going to like it too. They're trying to be whatever you want them to be. And whether it's manipulation or whether it's just them not being very secure with themselves, either way, you got to think about the type of man you want. Think about your standards, girlfriends. If he ain't meeting them, and if you want someone that's more secure with themselves and has an actual personality and their own character, he may not be it. So what I got, oh, here's one. Men that have as planned dates, or they cancel dates and never reschedule, and they say they want to see you but never make plans to see you. Men like this, I feel like they're basically trying to give the bare minimum. Don't look at it as like, okay, oh, maybe he's just busy, or maybe it's just, think about the kind of date that you would want. Think about what is for you. Now, your standards are your standards. I'm not going to tell you what kind of date you should be doing. Like, I know some women say, oh, he should be getting me an Uber and taking me to this fancy dinner that's expensive. That's fine if that's your standard. That is totally fine. Stick to that. But if your standard is, it could be just a regular restaurant, a bar, you can drive yourself, anything, whatever your standards are, stick to it. And if he can't meet that, or he's canceling dates last minute, I've had guys cancel dates last minute. And I've always wondered, like, it happened numerous times. It could have been legit something that came up, but I'm also thinking, okay, this has happened way too many times. I feel like they do this because they're trying to show like, hey, I want to date you, but I don't want to date you because I don't want to spend money on you yet. But because one guy did it so smooth, he was like, yeah, I don't have a babysitter. We're going to have to reschedule. So by the next time we rescheduled, the date was at his house. But I was young and naive, and I was just like, okay, I'll just meet you at your house. But anytime where you feel like you're just going through the loops, going through the motions of trying to get a date, and it's just taking forever, and he's just, no. I don't know what kind of game they be playing or what they be on, but no, do not wait around for the date. Do not drop everything for the date. Do not wait around for that date. Don't, block out your schedule thinking that, okay, he said that he want to see me Saturday. If he hasn't planned anything, giving you ample enough time to get ready for that date, then no, you're busy. You got something else to do. Don't play that game. It may be a legit reason, but in the beginning, it's most important in the beginning to set your standards early, to set your boundaries early, to set what you're going to go for and not go for early. You can't let shit slide in the beginning. You have to pay attention to these things, because if you let it slide in the beginning, they'll be skating around a whole ice rink around your ass before you know it. And then you'll just start letting more shit slide. And then you realize, like, wait, I ain't getting nothing that I want. Like, this is not what I want. Like, you got to be early with it. That's something that I've learned. You got to take your L early. Like, don't wait thinking it's going to get better, thinking you can make excuses, thinking you can give the benefit of the doubt. That's where I always went wrong in the past. And so I've started being more vigilant in the beginning to, like, okay, I'm checking. I got a checklist. I had a checklist when I went out with CJ, my husband. I had a checklist. He didn't make the whole checklist. It wasn't many checks on that checklist because he had a lot of things that were great about him. But yes, I started saying, I'm going to catch this shit early. So, all of this that I named, I'm wrapping it up. I think that's it. I feel like I got more. If I got more, y'all know you can check out my Patreon. It is patreon.com/I'veBeenThatGirl. I always put bonus content on there because it'll come spare in the moment. And I just jump on my memos and record it and post it. So you can always check that out. And I got a bunch of other podcast episodes in there. A bunch of other things. A whole lot of things. Even some shadow work exercises we did last week. So, yeah. If I have anything extra, I'll put it on there. I feel like there's so much more. But I've been working on this list for like a week. So this is what I came up with. But that's all I got. Girlfriends and everybody else. Until the next podcast episode. Peace out.